The police siren faded behind her as Amaka stepped out of the van. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted her name. People pointed at her like she was a demon walking. She lowered her head. She had no mother to defend her, no father to speak for her, no friend to stand beside her. Only the truth and a world determined not to hear it. The room was colder than she expected. A metal table, 2 chairs, a recorder flashing its red light. A senior officer walked in with a file thick with printed accusations. He opened it slowly. "Amaka," he said, "Pastor John claims you hid your HIV status and purposely infected him." Her body stiffened. She forced her voice out. "He is lying. Do you deny being with him?" Her lips trembled. "No, I was with him, but he refused protection himself." The officer leaned forward. "Do you have any proof?" And for the first time since the nightmare began, Amaka lifted her head. "Yes," she whispered, "I do." Recording. She pressed play. Pastor John's voice filled the room like poison leaking through the walls. "I am covered by the blood of Jesus. I don't need protection." The officer blinked. She played the second one. "If you open your mouth, you will lose your job and your life." The third. "You belong to me when I want you. Don't forget that." Silence. Heavy. Sharp. Dangerous. The officer closed the file. For the first time, the truth had a pulse. Pastor's body starts to fail. At the hospital, Pastor John lay shivering under a gray blanket. Doctors whispered outside. His skin was pale, his weight dropping, his pride disappearing. Grace, his wife, stood at the foot of his bed with arms folded. "So it's HIV," she said with a hollow voice. The doctor nodded. Grace laughed, a short, broken laugh. "You have brought destruction to your own house with your own hands." Pastor John covered his face, not in shame, in fear. The one thing he could not preach against had come for him. Church begins to divide. The news spread like fire in dry grass. What kind of pastor is this? He slept with a girl? He refused protection? No, it's a lie. It's true. The evidence is too much. The elders gathered in panic. People will leave the church. We must protect our image. We cannot stand beside him publicly. But he is our leader. He was, one elder replied. Now he is a threat. Behind smiles on Sunday, they sharpened knives in secret. And Pastor John felt the church slipping away from him. Grace visits Amaka. When Amaka was brought to the visitor's room, she expected a lawyer. She didn't expect Grace. Grace's eyes were swollen from crying, but burning with anger. "So it was you," Grace said quietly. "The girl my husband risked everything for." Amaka shook her head. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand." With shaking fingers, Amaka placed her phone on the table. "Listen." She pressed play. Grace listened to every threat, every lie, every manipulation. Her face lost all expression. This was not a love affair. This was exploitation. This was a man abusing the power of a pulpit to control a girl too poor to fight him. Grace's hands trembled. "How long?" she whispered. "Months," Amaka said. "He said if I spoke, he would destroy me." Grace closed her eyes. A tear escaped. It was the first tear she had cried for Amaka instead of for herself. Pastor tries to run. Later that night, Pastor John removed his IV line and tried to leave the hospital. But his legs gave out halfway down the hall. He collapsed, gasping. Doctors rushed to him. Behind them, Grace watched with cold eyes. "You can run from me," she whispered. "You can run from the church, but you cannot run from the truth." Case begins to turn. By morning, everything had changed. The police reviewed the recordings. Witnesses came forward anonymously. Messages between Pastor John and Amaka surfaced. The charges shifted from deliberate infection to sexual coercion and abuse of authority. The public murmured, the elders panicked. Grace prepared divorce papers, and Pastor John realized that the walls he built around his reputation were now caving in. Amaka's loneliest prayer. In her cell that night, she whispered, "I have no one, but if justice still exists anywhere, please don't let my truth die." One tear fell, but for the first time since the darkness began, hope stood beside her, quiet, small, but real. Court date announced, media alerted, elders divided, Grace ready to explode, Amaka ready to fight, and Pastor John standing on the edge of the cliff he built himself. The truth is about to go public, and nothing will ever be the same. The courtroom, the fall, and the truth that could not be buried. The courthouse was overflowing. Camera flashes lit up the entrance like a storm of lightning. Journalists pushed microphones into every face. People climbed fences just to catch a glimpse. Two names were on every tongue. Pastor John, Amaka Okafor, one respected, one rejected, and today, one of them was about to lose everything. The judge entered. Silence dropped like a stone. Pastor John walked in, supported by two men. His body was weak, his eyes sunken, but his pride still alive. Amaka entered next. She wore plain clothes, no makeup, no lawyer paid by the church, just courage holding her up. When their eyes met, he looked away first. John's defense begins. His lawyer stood tall. "My client," he said loudly, "is a respected man of God. He was manipulated by this young woman. She seduced him, hid her disease, and ruined his life." Murmurs filled the courtroom. The lawyer pointed at Amaka. She destroyed a holy marriage. She destroyed a ministry. She destroyed a community, and she must be punished. Pastor John lowered his head dramatically. Grace, sitting behind him, didn't blink. Amaka takes the stand. Her voice shook. "I was never the one with power," she said quietly. "He promised to help me. He said he would support my family. He said I was safe with him." Her eyes filled with tears. "And when I told him I had HIV, he laughed. He said nothing could touch him because he is a man of God. He said I must obey him." The court erupted. The judge banged the hammer. "Order!" Evidence begins. Her lawyer pressed a button. A speaker crackled. And then Pastor John's voice played loudly across the courtroom. "I don't need protection. God covers me." The judge's eyebrows raised. Another recording. "If you speak, I will ruin your life. Don't test me." Gasps filled the courtroom. Pastor John's face turned gray. Then the third recording. "You are mine when I want you. Don't forget who I am." The courtroom exploded. Grace closed her eyes. One tear escaped. She finally had the truth she needed. Pastor John loses control. He stood up suddenly. "That recording is fake," he shouted. "She edited it. She is lying. All of them are lying." The judge glared. "Sit down, or you will be removed." But he didn't stop. "I am a servant of God," he screamed. "Everything I did was for the ministry. She wanted me. His voice cracked. His legs shook. He collapsed back onto the bench. For the first time in his life, the pulpit could not save him. Grace takes the stand. The courtroom fell silent as she walked to the front. She didn't look at her husband. She looked only at the judge. "Your Honor," she said softly, "for years I defended this man. I believed every lie. I protected every scandal. I covered every sin, a long breath. But today, for once in my life, I choose the truth." She turned toward Amaka. "You didn't destroy my home," she said. "He did." Pastor John's head dropped. He had just lost the last person who once believed in him. The judge delivers the verdict. Hours passed. Everyone waited. Finally, the judge returned. The room held its breath. He looked at Pastor John first. "Based on the evidence," he said, "this court finds you guilty of sexual coercion, abuse of authority, and intentional deception." Gasps. Pastor John closed his eyes. The crown he held for so long fell to the ground. The judge turned to Amaka. "You are hereby cleared of all charges." Her knees nearly gave out. For the first time in months, she breathed freely. "Apa." "Pastor John," the judge continued, "you are sentenced to prison and required to undergo mandatory treatment. You used your position to destroy a life, and now justice must speak." The courtroom erupted. Some cried, some cheered, some fell silent. But the man who once commanded thousands now stood with handcuffs around his wrists. Final moments as the officers led him away. He looked back at the courtroom full of people he once controlled. Not one of them met his eyes. He was alone, absolutely alone. Amaka watched him go. No anger, no joy, just quiet relief. Grace walked past him without a word. She handed the divorce papers to the officer escorting him. And just like that, the life he built on lies collapsed in front of the world. Amaka walks free. Outside the courthouse, sunlight touched her skin. It felt warm, alive, hopeful. A reporter rushed forward. "Amaka, what do you want to say now that you're free?" She looked at the sky. "I just want a life," she whispered. "A life without fear." One simple sentence. But after everything she had survived, it was a victory greater than any verdict. A story of power, lies, and the truth that refused to die.